On the platform, the headmaster's secretary continued, "The freshman competition concludes here. Credit rewards will be transferred to your student IDs. You are dismissed." Returning to the detached villa dorm, seeing me push the door open, the aloof young man looked a bit unnatural. After hesitating for a moment, he took a deep breath and said, "Something arrived for you just now. They said it's the second batch of material resources. Since you weren't here, I moved it into your room." I was slightly taken aback, then smiled and said, "All right, thank you." The aloof young man turned his face away and whispered, "You're welcome." After returning to my room, I opened the large black box. The amount of rare metal this time was even greater than the first batch. As long as the silver disc fuses with enough metal, its hardness will be impenetrable even for He Ming. There's also a chance to acquire various traits. By then, it won't just be invincible in defense, its combat power will also be terrifying. I don't plan on just being a defenseless summoner. That weakness is too obvious. Once targeted, many methods could easily kill me. Over 10 minutes later, all the metals were fused by the silver disc. Now, its hardness could not be pierced even by a 3/3 tier attack. Moreover, its weight reached a full 13 tons. With mutual power amplification, a single punch could shatter the ground. Just then, the 5 credits rewarded for placing first also arrived. After thinking for a moment, I spent all my points on dozens of fruit resources. Once they were delivered, I poured everything out at once, then summoned He Ming and fed them to it. Soon, I felt surges of heat strengthening my whole body. It felt incredibly refreshing. He Ming's size was also growing bit by bit. In just a few minutes, it reached 40 meters. And after I advanced to Summoning Swordmaster, every level up gave me an extra 5 points in strength. I've completely twisted the Summoner class from a squishy backliner who only levels Spirit into an offensive frontline class. The next day, today was the official start of school. All 4 of us in the dorm were assigned to Class 1. On the way, we ran into Luo Xuan and Luo Ning, who were also in Class 1. As soon as we entered the classroom, many people looked over. Even now, they were still a bit shocked. Relying on just one summon to crush everyone was something that had never happened before. At this moment, 2 incredibly beautiful twins walked in through the door. After looking around for a moment, Luo Hongying and Luo Lan sat directly in front of me. At the same time, the tall Ji Fei walked into the classroom, glancing at everyone and saying, "My name is Ji Fei, and I will be your homeroom teacher from now on. Of course, try not to bother me if you have issues. I'm too lazy to care." Then Ji Fei's expression turned serious and her tone became strict. "You are all geniuses from various provinces. You worked hard to get into this academy, presumably for better resources. But unfortunately, through decades of scheming, the alien race's advantage has grown larger and larger. Before long, they will break through our defenses in one fell swoop." Hearing this, everyone's eyes instantly filled with disbelief. Society is clearly running in perfect order right now. Various entertainment industries are even booming. The media claims the situation has improved. There is no negative news online whatsoever. Everything seems stable and peaceful. Yet now she's saying a catastrophe is imminent? Seeing their shock and confusion, Ji Fei said slowly, "Aren't you guys curious why you practically never see powerhouses above the 5 tier in society? Even within the military garrisoning the whole province, the strongest is only at the 4th tier." Hearing this, the crowd thought carefully and realized it was indeed true. Logically speaking, mid-tier combatants like those at the 5 tier, while not everywhere, shouldn't be so hard to find online and in daily life. Suddenly, a terrifying thought faintly formed in their minds. The students graduating from top academies are at least at the 4th tier. Most of them have marched to the front lines without hesitation. It is exactly because of this that the peace in the rear has been maintained. Ji Fei continued, "News like this that would cause panic is naturally banned by all countries. This leads to many commoners being completely unaware of this. What's more urgent now is that the mutant beasts are also growing in scale. If we don't stop them now, the alien races will inevitably notice the situation and launch an all-out offensive early. Therefore," Ji Fei glanced at all the students, "the time has come for us to step up. All academies are sending their top talents to military bases to cull the mutant beasts. Now, those who volunteer to go to the military base for the mutant beast culling operation, stand up." As her voice fell, the sound of chairs being pushed back instantly echoed in the classroom. I naturally didn't hesitate at all. Seeing this, Luo Xuan and Luo Ning also immediately stood up. Fighting mutant beasts was just a matter of time anyway. Now, it's just been brought forward. Gradually, only half the class was still sitting. Seeing this, Ji Fei's lips curled up. "Having half of you volunteer already exceeds my expectations. Everyone, move out. We are heading to the military base." A seated fat guy widened his eyes. "Wait, do we have to go too?" "That's right. Everyone in this class is in the top 100 freshmen. You're all considered top talents of the academy, so naturally, you must go. The reason I only said it now is because the military intends to pick out the volunteers and make them key observation targets." Ji Fei said expressionlessly, "If you truly cannot muster the courage, there is a second option. Withdraw from Skylark Academy." The 20-something people still hesitating immediately had half of them jump to their feet. Ji Fei led the crowd outside Skylark Academy. Dozens of heavy troop transport trucks were parked at the gate. Soldiers waited with serious expressions on their faces. As all the students boarded the heavy transports, the originally bustling Skylark Academy became incredibly empty. Inside the carriage of a heavy transport, Ji Fei picked up a document and said, "This time, the place we are going to is the Hengduan military base, located 900 kilometers away from Zhongtian City. Right in front of it is the Balian mountain range. Its area spans hundreds of thousands of square kilometers. According to Tianqi's detection, just in the outer periphery alone, there are tens of thousands of level 10 to 30 mutated beasts. If you go a bit deeper, level 40 to 50 mutated beasts are also innumerable. You guys only need to carry out the clearing operation on the outskirts. For a long time, the front line has relied on technology to fight outnumbered, barely managing to resist the attacks. However, for some unknown reason, their recent attacks have become much fiercer, raiding the defense lines from all directions, day and night. Therefore, regarding this mutated beast clearing operation, the front line is completely powerless to help. 8 or 9 hours later, the heavy troop transport trucks came to a halt. As the heavy steel doors opened to the sides, several squads of soldiers in black combat uniforms lined up. It seemed they were waiting for their arrival. The soldiers saluted collectively. This sight touched everyone's hearts, and they couldn't help but put away their lazy attitudes. Jifei walked over and said, "Everyone, follow me to the mission reception point." Along the way, everyone looked around. The entire military base was very spacious, with turrets erected all around, heavily fortified. Not long after, they arrived at the mission reception point. Waiting female soldiers distributed black smart wristbands to everyone. These wristbands looked similar to the recorders from the exams, but they had added mission and map functions. There was also an SOS icon. With just one click, the military base would instantly be alerted and dispatch personnel to rescue you. At the same time, people nearby would receive the message immediately, allowing them to rush over right away. "Welcome. Xiao Ai is happy to serve you. For this mutated beast clearing operation, each student must accept and complete at least one mission per day. You have not yet met today's target. Please go to the reception point to accept a mission as soon as possible." The smart wristband emitted a prompt tone. I strode over to the screen displaying countless missions and glanced over it. It's better to play it safe. I'd better take a few normal missions with tier 3 requirements. Suddenly, I felt eyes staring at me, and I immediately looked back. I saw Luo Xuan and Luo Ning, who had been following me all along, looking at me pitifully. With their strength, going into the wilderness would probably be a huge struggle. "Let's go together," I smiled. After all, I had to take responsibility to the end. The two nodded repeatedly, gratitude almost overflowing from their eyes. Seeing this scene, Feng Ye, who originally wanted to invite Luo Ning, stopped in his tracks, suddenly feeling bitter. The twins are one thing, but he won't even spare Luo Ning. "Zhongfeng, the wilderness is extremely dangerous. Accidents can happen at any time. How about we look out for each other?" Feng Ye turned his head uncomfortably, acting like he was doing it for Li Zhongfeng's sake. "Piss off. Go find someone else." Li Zhongfeng looked at him with disgust, picked a mission, and left with a female support from his class. "Cao Yang, we're not done talking." Cao Yang interrupted him directly. "You're at least a hidden combat class. Don't be such a coward. Go find some reliable people to team up with yourself. Worst case scenario, just press SOS. If we're nearby, we'll come collect your corpse." Feng Ye suddenly felt the world around him was full of malice. Not long after, I also picked out 3 missions. Clear out the berserk black apes, 200 kilometers away, double-toothed giant tigers, and blood-scaled giant crocodiles. The locations of all the mutated beasts were obtained by array masters who modified and inscribed the Eye of Observation onto microdrones for carpet searches. Mutated beasts are territorial, so they generally don't wander too far from home. For this clearing operation, every military base had made ample preparations, allowing the students to more easily and steadily hunt down the beasts. Of course, their safety was also taken into consideration. Everyone going out on a mission could receive 3 high-explosive grenades and a high-power pistol equipped with 7 armor-piercing rounds. These were enough to injure mutated beasts around level 20. I had absolutely no confidence in my marksmanship, so I simply took 3 high-explosive grenades. Besides, the power of my punch now was even fiercer than an armor-piercing round. I turned around and left with the 2 of them. Soon, we drove into the Balian mountain range. I directly summoned the silver disc and transformed it into combat armor. At this moment, the smart wristband emitted a voice. "Do you need Xiao Ai to turn on the flashlight?" I immediately said, "Yes." The next second, a bright light illuminated the surrounding dozen meters. In the command center, everyone had a solemn expression. Through a nearby microdrone, they immediately noticed something wrong with our route. Further ahead is the area for mutated beasts above level 30. Why aren't they stopping? Quickly check what missions they actually accepted. A middle-aged man in a major general's uniform said in a deep voice. The woman controlling the screen quickly operated the console and said with a shocked tone, "Kill the level 33 berserk black apes, level 36 double-toothed giant tigers, and level 39 blood-scaled giant crocodiles. These are all missions requiring tier 3 strength. The last one is even close to tier 4 difficulty. Are they crazy?" Yang Xiao rubbed his temples. "Is this Skylark Academy's most formidable freshman this year? He's only level 16. How dare he accept missions 2 full tiers above his own strength? This is practically suicide." But for geniuses like them, who know the dangers yet still step up immediately, they fundamentally wouldn't betray humanity. Even if they are a bit stubborn, we can't just ignore them. He immediately issued an order, telling 4 armed helicopters to move closer to the vicinity. Once they are in danger, initiate rescue operations immediately. Yang Xiao let out a long sigh. Compared to other bases, their Hengduan base would probably be dragging the team down. Suddenly, the smart wristband issued a warning. "Please note, you have entered the habitat range of the target, berserk black apes." In the very next second after this voice sounded, a giant snake suddenly smashed through the bushes and charged at us. Its body was a full 4 meters thick, and its length reached tens of meters. It opened its sharp fangs and lunged at me viciously. The terrifying bloody moth threatened to swallow me whole. I spun around instantly, grabbed the giant snake's fangs with both hands, and pushed forcefully. Bolstered by superhuman strength and 13 tons of weight, the giant snake's fangs instantly snapped. Blood spurted out, making it retract its head in pain. But I didn't give it any time to breathe at all. The ground beneath my feet caved in, and my figure instantly dashed in front of the giant snake. With one punch, its spine was directly shattered and snapped. The giant snake hissed miserably, its cold serpentine eyes revealing fear, and it immediately wanted to flee. I grabbed it backhandedly and slowly dragged it back. The giant snake struggled frantically in terror, causing the ground to tremble continuously. However, it was completely futile. My fist smashed directly into its head. The giant snake's flesh exploded, and its skull caved in and shattered. I grabbed the giant snake's lower jaw with both hands and directly tore it in half with force. This brutal scene made Luo Xuan and Luo Ning tremble in fear. On the other side, the command center, which clearly watched the process, fell into silence. Everyone's eyes were filled with shock. This is too insane. He's only level 16 himself, right? Yet he can face a level 29 giant fierce python, head on. What kind of monster is this? Yang Xiao silently lowered his head, repeatedly looking at the documents in his hand. Here, it clearly shows his class is a summoner. It's not a mistake. Suddenly, a roar rang through the screen, echoing across the room. Everyone's expression suddenly turned grave. They saw a massive, 50-meter-tall ape with bulging muscles leap down from the mountainside. Seemingly awakened by the sounds of battle, it charged toward them in a blind rage. The female officer looked horrified. This is bad. It's a berserk black ape. How did it reach level 34? Mutated beasts undergo a metamorphosis every 10 levels. It could also smash the giant python to death with just a few punches. Yang Xiao shook his head, feeling equally pessimistic. In the entire human race, few could overcome such a massive gap in combat power. He already had his hand on the walkie-talkie. If the situation took a turn for the worse, he would immediately call in 4-armed helicopters for backup. Before I even had time to collect my loot, a massive, bloodthirsty, and hideous dark silhouette pounced from above. The black ape clasped its hands into a giant fist and smashed it down. I was utterly fearless. I drew the battle blade from my back and slashed, hitting right against its incredibly tough, leathery giant fist. A shockwave rippled outward, but I remained completely unscathed. All the damage was blocked by the silver disc. The black ape roared once more. Its body suddenly expanded several times over, rapidly reaching a height of 70 meters. Then, just like swatting a fly, it brought its massive palm crashing down. But in an instant, I appeared right above its head. As I slashed down, my close-range skill activated. This skill, originally meant for survival, was now being used as a gap closer. The terrifying slash flashed like silver light, striking the back of the ape's head, yet it only left a wound half a meter deep. Roaring in pain, the black ape quickly turned its colossal body around and wildly swatted its hands in a frenzy. But I dodged every single strike. I then dashed right in front of it, landing multiple slashes on the exact same spot. The black ape raised its foot and stomped down hard. Instantly, the earth shook and the mountains trembled, kicking up a massive cloud of dust in all directions. But I had already appeared a dozen meters away. It seemed that 13 tons of force and sharpness still wasn't enough to severely injure the ape. I had reached my limit with this approach. Realizing this, I decided not to drag it out any longer. Instantly, an ethereal sword appeared in my hand. Its blade was engraved with countless incomprehensible white runes, looking mysterious and profound. Feeling my mental energy instantly drained, my head grew heavy. This is your first public appearance. Let me see your true power. With that, I slowly raised my hand. The black ape's hair stood on end. It felt a sudden shudder run through its brain, as if threatened by something invisible. Was it this ant's doing? The black ape immediately lunged forward, wanting to end the battle quickly. However, my hand had already swung down. The magic sword instantly slashed through the ape's body. Without the slightest warning, its massive body crashed to the ground. A gust of wind immediately blew away the scattered dust. Its physical body was still alive, but its spirit had crumbled and died. I had instantly one-shot it. I withdrew my battle sword. Fortunately, the berserk black ape's fierce presence kept other mutated beasts from approaching, and the battle had ended very quickly. Seeing this, the armed backup helicopters in the distance slowly turned around and flew away. The entire command center fell dead silent. Everyone stared blankly at the screen, not even understanding what had just happened. Yang Xiao pondered for a moment and immediately realized it must be a mental trauma skill. Such skills were incredibly rare, but what truly shocked him was my terrifying combat power. To actually overcome an 18-level gap and clash head-on with the berserk black ape completely unscathed. The key point was that this wasn't some burst technique, it seemed to be my normal combat state. That was the most terrifying part. Those freaks who could defeat enemies a whole major tier higher invariably relied on burst damage or ultimate moves, not a constant state. Although both could bridge massive gaps in combat power, the difference was astronomical. If he could maintain this state constantly and fight across 2 major tiers, he would absolutely become the alien race's nightmare on the front lines. Thinking of this, Yang Xiao's heart raced. He was overcome with joy. Yang Xiao strode out of the command center, entered an inconspicuous little room, and closed the door. He activated multiple concealment arrays, and carefully took out a communicator. Brother Zhang, we've discovered a monstrous prodigy at the Hengduan military base. He's too fierce. Since I'm heavily injured right now, I'm afraid I can't protect him. After waiting for about half an hour, a voice came from the other side. Explain clearly. Exactly how strong is he? Yang Xiao thought for a moment. At the same level, even if we teamed up, he'd still smash our heads into the ground. The other side fell silent for a moment. That's insane. I guess even the entire human race won't be able to protect him. Just wait for him to be assassinated by the alien races. Yang Xiao felt somewhat helpless. He can crush me with one hand, but against you, Brother Zhang, it's hard to say. Hearing this, the voice immediately replied, all right, I'll go discuss this with the other thrones right now. Meanwhile, Luo Xuan looked at the ape's massive corpse and shouted excitedly, You can match a level 34 mutated beast without even needing Hei Ming. Brother Lin, you're way too strong. I just smiled without saying a word. With a thought, I summoned the 40-meter-tall Hei Ming and had it devour the 2 mutated beast corpses. Soon, its evolution value increased by 0.2 points, which was still a long way from the goal of over 1200. After thinking for a moment, I took the few life crystals I dug out from previous kills and tossed them all into the pitch-black flames. On average, each life crystal provided at least 1 point. My eyes lit up. If this works, I finally have a way to quickly increase the evolution value. Afterwards, I led the 2 of them deeper. Half an hour later, a 30-meter-long giant tiger with sharp fangs rushed out. But before it could attack, Hei Ming glared with its slit pupils, and the tiger froze stiff under the deterrence. Suddenly, the ground shattered, and Hei Ming instantly appeared in front of the giant tiger. Thrusting out its sharp claws, it launched a terrifying swipe that sent the tiger flying. Driven by the powerful impact, the giant tiger crashed through several towering trees. 4 hideous gashes appeared on its face, pouring out copious amounts of blood. But before it could recover from the excruciating pain, Hei Ming was already standing in front of it again. Run! The single thought instantly filled the tiger's brain, but its speed was absolutely no match for Hei Ming's. In just over 10 seconds, the giant tiger was completely consumed by the pitch-black flames. This brutal scene left even the command center feeling afraid. Those slit pupils made their blood run cold even through the screen, making them feel like death was imminent. Yang Xiao smiled bitterly, feeling a profound sense that the new generation was replacing the old. After our group of 3-in-1 beasts traversed the mountains for an hour, we entered a zone exclusively populated by level 30+ mutated beasts. But with Hei Ming's intimidation, not a single beast dared to approach. Just then, a colossal crocodile, over 100 meters long and covered in blood-red scales, suddenly opened its crimson-slit eyes. A terrifying, brutal aura erupted from it, issuing a warning to the intruders of its territory. Hei Ming instantly bared its fangs. A terrifyingly tyrannical aura exploded from its body, projecting a presence even more horrifying than the crocodile's. In the next second, its size expanded rapidly, its length approaching a staggering 300 meters. Feeling intangibly suppressed, the giant crocodile charged in anger, each step making the ground tremble. Pitch-black flames surged across Hei Ming's body. As it extended its claws, a dark light emerged. Simultaneously, a golden glow slowly rose from its skin and fur, radiating an aura of absolute invincibility. The giant crocodile opened its massive jaws, revealing rows of razor-sharp teeth. However, upon biting into the golden light, it couldn't close its mouth. Hei Ming just stared at it coldly with its slit pupils, then raised its claws and slashed down viciously. Instantly, countless blood-red scales were torn apart, turning its flesh and blood into a mangled mess. At the same time, the giant crocodile roared fiercely. It whipped its thick, heavy tail, swirling with a terrifying bloody aura, and lashed it toward Hei Ming with a violent gale. The ground was gouged into 4 long, deep trenches as Hei Ming barely managed to halt its momentum with full force. The giant crocodile followed up immediately, pushing off with its front limbs to bite Hei Ming, dragging it down into the lake behind them. Instantly, massive splashes of water soared into the air. The 2 behemoths fought wildly at the bottom of the lake, churning the water into a muddy mess. The pitch-black flames covering Hei Ming did not diminish in the slightest. Instead, the surrounding lake water's temperature kept rising. Even with the environmental advantage, the giant crocodile was still completely suppressed. Despite using its strength talent, making the bloody light swirl wildly, it still couldn't deal a single drop of damage. In just a few minutes, the water level of the massive lake had dropped by nearly half. Suddenly, the water surface exploded as a giant black wolf burst out of the lake. Its massive body, nearly 300 meters long, was overwhelmingly oppressive. Coupled with the fierce aura swirling around it, it made people tremble involuntarily. Even though Hei Ming wouldn't attack them, Luo Xuan and Luo Ning couldn't suppress their inner fear, and neither could the command center watching through the screen. As for the giant crocodile, it had been swallowed whole, leaving nothing behind. At this moment, Zhao Ai on my wrist announced, "All tasks completed, you may return to the military base's reception point to submit them." By the time the 3 of us returned to the Hengduan base, it was already 1 a.m. I walked straight into the reception point and found a female soldier to turn in the quest. The female soldier asked in disbelief, "Did you guys really complete it?" I nodded and pulled up Zhao Ai's recording as proof. After a good while, the female soldier finally processed it, saying, "That's 200 contribution points in total. Since you acted as a team, how do you want to distribute them?" I transferred the points to the 2 of them according to the ratio she suggested. I glanced at Luo Xuan and Luo Ning. Not only are they of no help following me around right now, but they also can't properly temper themselves. It seems it's time to find a more suitable party for them. Shortly after I left, a line of text prominently appeared on the big screen at the reception point. Skylark Academy, freshman, level 16 summoner, contribution points, 100, ranking 1245. It wasn't just at Hengduan base. Other bases gathering numerous academies also displayed these large words simultaneously. At this moment, many students hanging around the reception points showed surprise. Who is this guy? Getting 100 contribution points right off the bat? He must have completed at least 2 tier 3 quests in one go, right? I'm a freshman too, but my contribution points are only in the single digits right now. Who isn't? I only dare to do tier 1 quests. These mutated beasts are too ferocious. Even with a level advantage, I still get suppressed. Right now, most sophomores and juniors only have a few dozen contribution points. Freshmen with double-digit points are even rarer. The reason everyone was so shocked was that he was only level 16, just a freshman, yet he skipped 2 major tiers to successfully kill 2 mutated beasts above level 30. Inside the Luoxiang base, Feng Yi was discussing how to kill the level 60 behemoth on the perimeter. Suddenly seeing the name appear on the leaderboard, he froze slightly. How is that possible? Hearing Feng Yi's exclamation, several instructors followed his gaze. Old Feng, do you know this student? A freshman getting over 100 points on the first day? Isn't that a bit exaggerated? Feng Yi nodded and said, he's the recruiting regret I told you guys about before. Back then, Jifei just offered way too much.
Follow, like, comment, and share for part 6.